This is a topic that everyone always asks about. How can I increase my website conversion? We've had a lot of sessions on it, including Jamila's just a little bit ago on the social proof and other concepts there. We have, I really liked Nick's session yesterday. I think he explained it the best, which is everyone has a misconception about conversion rate optimization. And typically it starts with surveying and talking to your customers. And Valentine designed a great survey tool, a part of the OmniConvert platform that helps you do just that. But we're going to go into so much more than that. Valentine, I'm going to let you take it away, show the strategies, and also showcase some of the tools behind them as well.
Let's do that. Thanks a lot, Derek, for inviting me. And hello, everyone from Bucharest, Romania. It's 11 p.m. here, so you are seeing my tired version, but let's get this started. I'm going to share my screen with you, and let me know if you can see it, Derek.
Looks great. Perfect.
Perfection. So how to nail customer value optimization. That's the topic that I'm addressing. The thing, guys, is that, and girls, is that the e-commerce is booming. We've maybe all seen these statistics. And while most of the shoppers are coming on the stores and buying because they are actually forced, they don't have any other alternatives, there are also let's minimize this. There are also some threats here, because what's the use of onboarding these customers if you and acquiring them and paying for them if they are not going to come back? So according to my expertise as an e-commerce entrepreneur, the growth e-commerce formula that I have been using over and over again, and I've started this rodeo back in 2007. In the meantime, I've sold my company when we reached 200,000 customers. So the initial growth e-commerce formula was relying on this: traffic multiplied by the conversion rate and multiplied by the average order value, and that meant growth. But according to other folks which are much more smarter than me, like Jay Abraham, he stated this very simply and very beautifully. There are only three ways to grow any kind of business: increase the number of clients, increase the average transaction per customer, and get each customer to buy from you more often. So while many e-commerce leaders are focusing on the first one, which means traffic multiplied by the conversions, few of them are looking at improving the average transaction per customer, which means the AOV, and fewer than that are focusing on the customer lifetime value. So my updated formula was to increase the customer acquisition cost in the game and the orders per customer. But in the meantime, I've also realized that the CLV is affected by other things. So mainly the growth e-commerce formula that I'm using right now is the number of customers, which is being generated by the traffic multiplied by the conversions, but also the ratio between the customer lifetime value and the customer acquisition cost. Now, the customer acquisition cost is clear. There are a ton of webinars and articles around the improving CPC, CTR, and all of that, and improving the ROAS and everything like that. But on the customer lifetime value, which means mainly the most important metric, the North Star for all the grown e-commerce stores, there aren't too many, let's say, articles around this. So that's the topic that I'm addressing right now. The customer lifetime value is affected by the RFM score, is affected by the margin of your store, and it's also affected by the customer experience, which there are some KPIs that you can track, the NPS or the customer effort score. So if you focus on growing your business by acquiring traffic, it's more expensive than ever. So if you can see this, in the last 7 years, the Facebook CPC has grown 8 times, while the e-commerce sales worldwide have increased only 1.5 times. And if you're looking to improve the conversions, you need to be able to know your customers. You need to understand why they buy and what to sell. So what kind of products to sell so that they can become repetitive buyers, because conversion rate means new customer acquisition rate and customer retention rate. So that means in order to keep customers from coming, you need to understand this aspect, like who are your customers, what made them come back, and what they need in the future. So that being said, let's look at our methodology to improve customer lifetime value. So the first step, if you are willing to improve customer lifetime value, is to monitor it. You can measure, you can improve what you don't measure, right? So if you don't go to the gym and you're not using the scale, nothing is going to happen with your weight. So monitoring the CLV and the KPIs that are affecting it is the first step. And there are a lot of acronyms that maybe you are not going to understand or to know the figures for your own shop, because you're not monitoring them in Google Analytics. And I think that's an obsession of e-commerce leaders. And I've went through that, and forgive me, Father, because I've seen. So I've used the tool back in 2014, I think. No, 2011, Rescue Time, and then Time Doctor. And I watched myself. I was passing through this analysis paralysis phase. I was spending around 3 hours per day in Google Analytics, and that was a waste of time. So what is important is not to look only at the visitor behavior, but at the customer behavior, because you're after visitors that pay with their wallet. You are after customers, not visitors. So customer retention, NPS, customer effort score, average days between the transactions, orders per customers, second month cohort stickiness rate. These are the things that you must monitor. So this is the first step that you need to do. Then you need to change the way your company is defining success, so that you can make everyone aware about the importance of the customer lifetime value. It's not a marketing KPI, but a company-wide measure of success. And I'm going to give you an example in a few minutes about a company that actually failed to exist after reaching 11 million euro in turnover, in annual revenue, because they haven't properly tracked the customer lifetime value. Yeah. The next step would be to find the ideal customer profile. So to identify which are your best customers by doing RFM segmentation and analysis. After you segment the customers based on the recency, frequency, and monetary value, you understand not only which are the best customers in terms of customer lifetime value, but also based on their how active they are, based on their recency score. So once you have all these scores, you'll be able to see how great some customers are and which are your bullseye, right? But more about this a bit later. The next step would be the buying patterns analysis. So to find out the toxic products or the buying habits and the anomalies, so that you can optimize the product assortment accordingly. After this step, this step is quite important because it allows you not to push the products that you have in your inventory through advertising, but it allows you to understand which are the products which are bringing you the most valuable customers. Then after that, you shift your acquisition game towards the ICPs. So instead of acquiring average customers, you acquire best customers. And then you do the ongoing optimization by doing cohort A/B testing. I'm going to tell you about this a bit later. Now, the next step would be the ongoing personalization campaigns across all these channels. So we're in this, let's say, moment where the technology can work for ourselves. So we have this outstanding power at our disposal, but we keep on doing our habits. So we keep on doing our email campaigns manually to change these subjects instead of activating evergreen campaigns via all these channels. So that is an important moment. So after the moment where I've understood the power of the technology and of the automation of the tools that are available, I've improved the impact that I had on this planet multiple times. So I'm right now I'm one of the most blessed persons that I know, thanks to the automation, thanks to the technology. So the seventh step is the moment where you, as a founder or as an e-commerce leader, you buy yourself a lot of time. you do this structured approach, and then the system works for you. So that being said, let's focus first on to monitor the CLV and the main KPIs. What is the CLV? Now, before diving into these details, we've prepared this retention calculator. So in order to change the way you look at the success of your e-commerce, you must understand how painful it is, because we as human beings and as e-commerce leaders, we have the same, let's say, biases. We tend to focus on the habits that we had. So we look over the Facebook campaigns, we look over analytics, and we are not changing anything tomorrow. But in order to understand how much you are truly losing, use this simple tool so that you can understand the difference between your current customer retention and the difference between a healthy customer retention rate. Because in this manner, you'll be able to understand how much your shop has already lost by not keeping their existing customers returning. Now, growth doesn't mean that it is not equally is not equal with the growth generating factors, and that means we must look at what is generating growth. So here's this example from B Fashion. This is a defunct company, actually. They reached 11 million in annual revenue in 11 countries, 90 employees. The symptoms when I've met with the founders were like this. The year-over-year customer lifetime value was decreasing 20%. The NPS was less than 40. The CLV over CAC ratio was 1.5. What is this ratio? How much you are getting from a customer, the customer lifetime value. So how much are you keeping in margin from a customer? What's the value that each customer is generating, and how much you are spending to acquire that customer? If it's below 1.5, and this is a thing that not any P&L is going to show you. So if it's below 1.5, that means you are paying $1 and you are getting $1.5. So from this $0.5, you need to pay the goods, the shipment, and all the other fixed costs. So that's why you need to overlook this ratio, because it's also capturing the lifetime revenue that each customer is going to provide you. More about this a bit later. Then retention rate was less than 20%. So after 4 years, that happened with the customer, with this company. So 20% less revenue. They were active only in one country and less than 10 employees. And this year they are out of business. Why that happened? Because they were relying too much on the P&L. So when I've met them and when I've actually tried my best to help them and to track CLV, it was already too late. So we started I've started to work with them back in 2016. They were extremely talented people and really determined, and it was such a pity because their efforts were up to the skies, but they weren't able to shift the company. Why? Because they've acquired a lot of products, so they've blocked their money into acquiring a lot of products which weren't that good enough. So if they would be tracking the NPS in real time, if they would be keeping their cash to actually acquire products that were attractive to their customers, they would be alive right now. So this is an important aspect, the chances to place the next order. So if you are not monitoring this, and if you are putting money like they were paying around 13,000 euro each day on Facebook ads only, and they had Google ads as well. So if you are putting money into acquisition, but only less than 20% of your customers are coming back to place the next order, then you must be doing something wrong. So what you need to do in order to improve customer lifetime value, you need to improve this metric, the chances to place the next orders. Because as you could see, this is the habit forming. After the first order, the chances are 30%, 40%, 50%. And once the customers are acquainted with buying from your shop, you are not paying anything to acquire them because they keep coming back. So these are the fragile moments when and the crucial moments when you should be assisting them. So in order to monitor the customer lifetime value, we have in our own product, we have these two ways, like the predictive customer lifetime value and the historical customer lifetime value. Now, if you look at the trend, and the trend is negative on the predictive, you can also have a positive trend on the historical CLV. And why is that happening? This is usually happening because the company is acquiring customers that are generating a low revenue. So now this predictive CLV is being sustained by the existing customers from the past. After you monitor the CLV and see these symptoms of your shop, you go to segment your customers to understand which are your best ones. So the RFM segmentation allows you to understand what is the revenue and the margin breakdown from each customer group. So after more than 40% of the revenue is being generated by returning customers, you have to do RFM segmentation. So what is RFM customer segmentation? This is a method to identify the most important type of customers based on their recency, frequency, and monetary scores. So you simply give scores and you end up having this type of groups, like the true lovers, the passionate new customers, the ex-lovers, and so on. So mainly based on these RFM scores, you give scores from 1 to 5, for instance, here, you have the best customers that gets the best score at all these aspects. Recency score is 5, frequency is 5, monetary value is 5. So these are the best customers. And as you could see, the revenue for these customers is around 2.7K. And the next group is having 753 US dollars. So that means these are the best customers that you should be researching, acquiring, and understanding the best, instead of looking at all the average customers. So these are having the best scores, right? And by looking at the share of revenue and share of customers, you also understand their impact, because you also have about to dump you customers, you also have Don Juans, you have a lot of type of customers. But looking at this kind of data, like the soulmates, you can understand this revenue and margin breakdown and which are the customers that you should be focusing on. So this is revealing the anomalies that you as an e-commerce manager or marketer, you should be understanding so that you can acquire better customers. So the beauty of RFM is that you also can see the trend of the customer lifetime value by each RFM group. So you could see what is the trend for each RFM group, and in this manner you'll be able to see the importance of a single customer, a single soulmate against the average customers. So now that you have these RFM segments, it's the time to identify your ideal customer profile. So adding the customer voice in the mix, like Derek said, it allows you to understand what they are saying, what is the customer voice. So the steps to do this is you prepare the email list according to each RFM group, you create the questionnaires, you send the surveys, you create the reports, and you generate the insights. This is the methodology. The beauty of it is that instead of looking at all the customers the same, okay, I'm moving this, you look at each customer group and you identify certain aspects that matter for you. So for instance, for the soulmates, you monitor the NPS, the demographics, the reasons won, the jobs to be done, which is a great methodology to understand why customers are buying your products, and the main barriers. You don't track the reasons last because God help, they are not lost yet. But for each customer group, you are looking to understand some aspects so that you can improve your communication, your product assortment, your unique value proposition. So once you have this data, you'll end up having some insights. So the jobs to be done data allows you to understand the struggling moments before acquiring that product, which are the jobs that the customers are hiring your products to do, which are the triggers and the forces of progress. And then you understand what kind of product issues are stopping customers from buying again and what kind of services issues. because these can be different according to each shop. So you might have quality problems, you might have pricing problems, you might have client service problems, or you might be setting the expectations too high in terms of the delivery time. So based on those insights, will allow you to understand how this and what is affecting this cohort to come back. And I want to show you something really important. So the cohort analysis, for instance, allows you to understand how the customers are behaving. As you can see here, this is a retailer that moved instantly to the online world. So as you can see here, they were doing something like 600 euro. So it was a joke, right? Their store, and then they've moved everything they had towards the online. So what is important here is the second month stickiness rate, which is going down. That means they've acquired a lot of customers during the pandemic, and then they haven't been able to keep most of their customers coming back. So while after they were forced, this means the second month stickiness rate means that out of 19.7 thousand, they've kept 36% of those customers buying in the next month. And then out of 363,000 in April, they've kept only 22. And then out of 800,000, they've kept only 8.78%. So that means what they need to do is to understand the reasons for churning, to analyze the buying habits and the product assortment of the retained customers, and to optimize the customer journey. The beauty of the cohort analysis is that it allows you to understand what kind of campaigns and actions brought the most loyal customers. Next, after this moment, you analyze the buying patterns. So buying pattern means you look at this breakdown of each RFM group by location, by category, by the products they've bought, or by the brands they've bought. So for instance, you might be able to see that most of your ex-lovers are buying fitness shoes. So maybe your fitness shoes are not that good. So there are all sorts of anomalies, and by analyzing them, you will be able to improve the customer lifetime value and identify your best customers. For instance, understand from which RFM group is each customer, when is their birth date, if you have that, sorry, what is their historical orders, right? So that in this manner, you'll be aware about your best customers, and you'll be able to also provide them a special treatment. Next is the customer journey mapping, but first, let me drink some water. Excellent. So customer journey mapping. This is the standard e-commerce customer journey that each merchant is having at the beginning. They generate the demand, the order is being placed, they send an order confirmation, they deliver the order, and then they do remarketing and email blasting with discounts so that the customers are coming back. Usually, according to our data, around 15 to 20% of the customers are coming back thanks to this, let's say, journey. Now, the advanced e-commerce customer journey that I'm proposing to you is to add 3 more steps. So after the order is delivered, you have to, this is a must, this is vital, to get the customer satisfaction survey, because not closing the loop and only shipping products without understanding from the customers how they felt about it, because the emotions are the main driver of behavior, right? We are not changing our minds due to data. We are changing our minds due to the emotions. So understanding the emotional response of your customers after you've sent the products to them is vital to you. Then after you track this NPS and the customer satisfaction, you treat the objections in real time in case they appear. So instead of waiting for a few weeks to understand what's going on, or not doing anything about bad customer experience, you understand if you have a problem and you solve it right away. And by only saying to the customer that you care about him, that you've listened to him, he's not going to be that pissed off. And you're going to see a methodology a bit later. Then after you treat the objection in real time, you enroll the customer in a customer retention program. So mainly you have an onboarding path that you are getting your customers on. And then you do these personalized ads, email, and web experiences according to each customer, according to the relation he has with you. Maybe you have pissed off VIP customers. You don't want to treat them the same as the other ones, right? And then the second order is being placed. Usually this gets the customer retention rate up to 50 or even 70% retention rate. So the ideal customer profile and why you must find it. You will be ending with better ads targeting and a lower customer acquisition cost. You will be ending with better assortment and merchandising based on the ICP. So you'll optimize your inventory, and you will have better customer service so that you can provide priority support and better response rates or tailor-made return programs to customers that matter to you. So according to the data, the customers are not leaving the company because of your competitors, but because of you. Usually, the customer believes that we don't care about them, and that 68% of them are actually leaving the company because of that. But even if you've made a mistake, if you simply ask your customer the feedback, they will think that you will care about them. So going further, in order to understand if you care about them, you need to monitor the NPS. Now, the NPS is a great KPI, but the problem with it is because it's an average still. So you might want to segment the NPS based on each RFM group, because you want to keep the true lovers, the NPS for the true lovers, which are your best customers, at the highest rates. So tracking it and further improving it in real time will allow you to also improve the customer lifetime value. Now, the NPS can be tracked also based on each product category. So imagine seeing that the NPS for flats is much more better than for stilettos or whatever. So based on your product assortment will allow you to work closely with the ones which are acquiring the products, so the category managers. And then ongoing NPS for each brand will allow you also to have fast and prioritize the improvement of your product offering. So in order to take action in real time, this is an NPS objection treatment journey that I'm proposing to you. So instead of just collecting the feedback, you can collect the feedback before the purchase, so when the customers bought the marketing of your product, and after the purchase. So it's pre-delivery NPS and post-delivery NPS. This is showing you the expectation gap. Yeah, if you set expectations too high and then the reality steps in and is way lower, then you will lose that customer. So instead of acquiring more customers and not measuring these aspects, you can measure pre and post delivery NPS and then adjust your response according to the NPS. So if the score is low but the customer is a top customer, you might want to solve that issue in real time. Or after the purchase, the same thing. So if the score is okay, you can facilitate customers to actually recommend you according to the NPS. If the score is low, you simply let that customer let's say go away. So mainly it's not about just looking at the data, but making the data actionable. And there are some ways to actually make this happen. For instance, you can do that by using Klaviyo or SendGrid. We have this direct integration with them, so you can track the NPS and then take action in real time without doing anything after you set the system initially. So you can see it here. I'm going to provide you the presentation, and Derek, I hope he is going to send it to you. Now, the customer retention can also be tracked online and offline, but seeing these kind of things like the chances to place the next order and seeing the retention curve will allow you to understand what's going on with your shop. So you will see how healthy is your shop. Then after you track these things, you can do this, get these insights, brainstorm around how to improve the customer journey, and come up with a loyalty program that is actually tailor-made based on real data, so not based on your assumptions. And then is the ongoing personalization time. So the ongoing personalization will allow you to provide for each customer the right unique value proposition at the right time, according to the relation you have with that customer across all these channels. So to sum up the journey to make this shift happen, you get the e-commerce growth formula, then you do the RFM segmentation, you gain the insights, then you get to do the qualitative research. You simply ask your customers what's going on. You find the jobs, the reasons, and the buying frictions. Then you craft the ideal customer profile according to the reality, not what the Facebook ads is telling you or the Google ads, but real customers. Then you understand the buying patterns and analyze the brands, categories, cities, locations, and their anomalies. And then you come up with ICP insights that allow you to improve the ads, the emailing, the targeting, the product inventory, the website targeting, and the customer service as well. Then you do the customer journey mapping. Yeah, you analyze each touch point with your customers and understand the as-is customer journey and the desired customer journey by doing this customer retention strategy. So you start to improve this. And then is the ongoing personalization that kicks in, and then your shop is a system that you just need to adjust, to optimize and do the tweaks instead of doing these campaigns today for back to school. So the system can know that you have an existing customer that will renew or will come again on your website. Now, you can do almost all of these things by using our technology, and I'm happy to offer you completely for free until the end of 2020. Will allow you to do customer segmentation, customer health score, to track customer retention and customer satisfaction, to identify the buying patterns and the anomalies, and then to do omni-channel personalization based on the data you find out about your own customers. That was it from my end. Thanks a lot for being here with me today. Derek, I don't know if we have time for questions or how do you want to proceed next?
If anybody has questions, I definitely recommend they reach out to you directly. Can we drop your email address? You want to drop your email in the chat? It's going to be the best way to follow up. There was so much stuff in this presentation that I feel like, I mean, if you watch this and I believe every word that you said and the value behind building out these flows and sequences, but understanding NPS and the RFM model. And I would just like, if I'm a merchant and I didn't know most of these things, I feel like I'd be like, oh my God, I have so much to do now. But I think, starting with the tools and the fact that you're bringing Reveal to everyone for free is awesome. And I definitely recommend they check that out. That's like, there's a lot to do. And I think icing on the cake of this entire 2-day event, because I think people are leaving with a lot of ideas and a lot of things that need to change in their business so that they can be more impactful, so that they can understand their customers better, they can build that relationship. And I think understanding, the most loyal customers obviously is so important. And the fact that people don't know who the true lovers of their product are, that scares me. Like you could be doing, I know brands that are doing, millions of dollars in revenue and they don't really know who their best customers are.
Yeah.
It's time to change that. And I hope that we can just at least introduce the idea to the people listening today so that they can start to build the roadmap towards doing it in a very healthy, strong way that ensures that the relationship and the value stay with them over time. So that's my rant on that. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's late for you, so I will let you go and give them some closing thoughts as we wrap up this event. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you as well, everyone. Thank you, Derek, for having me. And everyone, good luck, fingers crossed, and cheer up. Good times are coming.